Very good afternoon. Is it audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon. Today we are going to discuss one important topic in solid waste management, that is ISO 14001. ISO 14001. It is an international standard for environmental management system. The ISO 14001 created in 1996 by International Organization for Standardization. International organization that created in 1996, designed to promote the environmental management approaches, and it is appropriate to any kind of organization. For example, manufacturing units, industries, NGOs, and unions concerned about this improving the system of production and management of the processing and different operations conducting in the industries. The way is the better control of the environmental impacts. It provides a framework for organizations to effectively manage their environmental responsibilities. The guidelines of these standards can be checked and certified by the approved organizations, that is ISO 14001. The implementation of ISO 14001 can lead to cost savings and improved environmental performance and different regulatory compliances related to the environment. To achieving a balance between the environment, society, and the economy is the essential to needs of the present generation and ability to the future generations to meet their needs. The sustainable development as a goal achieved by balancing the environmental sustainability as well as societal expectations for sustainable development. The transparency and accountability of the environment have evolved with increasing the legislations, regulations, and growing pollution, inefficient use of resources, improper waste management, and climate change, and degradation of ecosystem also. Balancing the achieved goals. And one more thing, biodiversity. It is also main factor in the ISO 14001 in environmental management system. The organization to adopt a systematic approach that environmental management by implementing the environmental management systems aims to contribute the environmental sustainability. The purpose of this international standard to provide organizations with a particular framework to protect the environment, and the responsibility of the organizations to balance the socio-economic needs and environmental conditions. An organization to achieve any intended outcomes to set of environmental management systems, the achieving balance between the environment and society and the economy. The history of the ISO 14001. The ISO 14001 first published in 1996 by the International Organization for Standardization, and it revised in 2004 and 2015, and most recently revised in 2021 also. To protecting environment by preventing, mitigating adverse environmental impacts and mitigating potential adverse impacts, assisting the organization in the fulfillment of compliance obligations, and enhance environmental performances, controlling and influence the way of organization products and services are designed to maintain the balance and achieving the financial operations and operational benefits that results from the implementing environmentally sound alternatives. Communicating the environmental information to relevant organizations. The international standard, like other standards, it is not intended to increase or change the organization legal requirements. The aims of the environmental impact assessment, environmental impact system 14001. The aims are protecting the environment, mitigating the potential adverse effect, assisting the organization, and enhancing the environmental performances. The controlling influences the way of organizations, products, achieving financial operational benefits, and communicating environmental information. The several factors impact the environmental management system depends on the commitment from the levels of all functions of the organization that leads to the top management. The organization opportunities to prevent or mitigate the adverse impact of environment and enhance the benefits of the environmental impacts, particularly those with strategic and competitive implications. The strategic and competitive implications between the organizations can enhance the performance, enhance the benefits of the environmental impacts. The top management of the environmental management address the risks of the opportunities and impacts of the environmental management in organizations' strategy. The strategic direction and the decision making are the main factors in the environmental management system. A demonstration of successful implementation of particular international standard can be used to assure the interested parties or organizations that can manage effectively environment management in particular working place. Adaptation of this particular international standard will not guarantee itself. It is the optimal environmental outcome. The environmental impact management system application of the international standard, it can differ from organization to organization due to it's the context of the organization, because two organizations can carry out similar activities but have the different compliance, different regulations, different compliance obligations and commitments towards the environmental policy and environmental management, especially environmental technologies. Both can perform the requirements of the international standard related to ISO. The level of the complexity of the environmental management, it vary depend upon the context of the organization and scope of the environmental management in the organization and its compliance obligations and the nature of their activities and production products and different ecosystem services they are providing, including their environmental aspects associated with the environmental impacts. The success factors are the success of an environmental management system depends on commitment from all the levels and functions of the organization leads to the top management and address its risks and opportunities by integrating environmental management and their business processes and their strategic direction and decision making process. Plan, do, and act model, the basis of approach. An environmental management system is founded. The concept of plan, do, act. The plan, do, act model provide an interactive process used by the organizations to achieve continual improvement in environmental management. And it can be applied in environmental management system and to each of its individual elements. Plan, do, act model. The first step is plan, establish the environmental objects and processes necessary to deliver results in accordance with the organization's environmental policy. And implementation of the process as planned, and regular monitoring and measurement processes against the environmental policy, and necessary actions to continually improve the environmental management system. The benefits of the implementing ISO 14001. There are many benefits related to these standards. It enhances the organization's performance related to environment and improve their credibility of the organization. And it is also helps in identifying, reducing the environmental impacts at their level and increasing employee awareness and engagement in environmental sustainability. All these are leads to improve the environmental performance at the organization level. The key components of ISO 14000. Environmental policy establishment and identification of environmental aspects and impacts, and setting objectives and targets for improving the environmental management. The policy should establish any organization which impacting the environment adversely, that may be positive and negative impact on the environment, and identification environmental aspects and impacts. The sources we are utilizing in the environment management to monitor, to operate their manufacturing units, industries, and organizations, NGOs, different companies should identify environmental aspects and impacts and setting objectives and targets to improve the environment. Each organization should maintain, should set up their objectives to improve their quality of environment, improve the performance of environmental management plan. Each organization should have their particular objectives to improve their performance in environmental management. The process approach in ISO 14001 emphasizes the importance of understanding and managing the interrelated processes. The approach is interrelated processes. It encourages the organizations to consider entire life cycle and their products and services. Every product, the manufacturing unit will impact the life cycle, and their services interrelated to the society, helping in identifying opportunities and improvement throughout the organization. The improvement of environmental management system identify opportunities to improve the quality and performance and conservation of environment throughout their organization when comparing to the other organizations. By approaching plan, do, check, act framework, apply this method, apply this framework will improve the performance in environmental management system. And examine current environment management systems in the organizations and understand the ISO requirements and standards and identify the hazards, risks associated with the environment and opportunities to improve the environment performance. And ISO certification, development and implement the environmental management system based on the standard of ISO. The certified auditor to audit and attain the ISO 14001. The certification should done the certification by the auditors in related to the environmental management system and improve the management system with the standard of ISO 14001. The certification will help in the improving the impact on environment and reduce the risks from the environment. Integration with other management systems. It is interrelated with other systems that are quality management system, environmental management system, safety management system, and food safety management system, information security management system, and compliance systems. These are all interrelated in International Management System, IMS. In IMS, the three main standards are there. First one is ISO 14001, then ISO 9001. ISO 9001 is the quality management system in the production unit, and ISO 14001, another standard, it is occupational health and safety in the organizations. These three standards, these three international standards should have certification in each organization. Those who are manufacturing processes, those who are impacting the environment with their activities, they may be industries, companies, NGOs, any other processing units. They should have these particular management systems and their certification. The integration leads to more holistic approach managing organizational risk and opportunities. All these process, all these systems reduce the effects from the organizations that will impact the environment positively and negatively. The ISO certification process. The organization can seek certification from accredited certification bodies. The certification involves initial assessment of the organization, all the parameters and activities they are doing in the particular organization. The documentation review. The review of all the documents related to the manufacturing and objectives and their production targets and pollution standards and the data they are providing to state and central pollution control boards and their pollution management and strategies of environmental management. All these documents review in this certification process. Once certified with the 14001 certification, they should conduct the regular audits to maintain the certification process. Once established this certification, they promote some regulations related to the EMS. The auditing should be done continuously with regular intervals. Continual improvement in ISO 14001. There are many factors: act management review and check inspection, corrective actions, and do implementation, planning, and environmental risk assessments. All these are continual improvement in ISO 14001. Regular management reviews helps in identifying the areas of improvement in EMS. The plan, do, act cycle ensures the organizations constantly striving for better environmental outcomes and improve the quality of the EMS. The organizations required to continuously monitor and measure their performance when set up, when accredited with the ISO 14001. ISO 14001 and legal compliance. By implementing ISO, organization can ensure compliance with environmental laws and regulations in each organization. It helps in identifying, addressing the potential impacts and risks associated to environment management. The regular audits help in the demonstration of the environmental performance. These are the steps in compliance with ISO 14001, in legal requirement 14001. Environmental policy is the first step. The organization should set up with particular objectives with environmental policy, then legal and other requirements, approvals from the state and central pollution control boards, require the legal compliance, and the objectives and targets. The aim of the organizations and objectives of the organization should set up with particular targets, and implementing the EMS targets should establish an evaluation of compliance. The evaluation should done periodically with internal auditors and outside auditors. The regular auditing is with internal auditors. And management review. The organization's top management should review the policy, whether they are maintaining the standards when they established the particular ISO. The review should done regularly to implement the performance, to mitigate the measures. Challenges in implementing ISO 14001. Resistance to change within the organizations. When we set up this ISO 14001, the continuity in maintaining the policy in related to EMS, the sustainability is very important, and lack of resources and expertise for implementation. The experts or auditors needed to review the resources and guidance need to implement the ISO 14001. And balancing environmental objectives with business goals. Business goals are the primary aim of the organizations, but balancing environmental objectives are necessary while implementing the ISO 14001. That will indicate the environmental management plan of the particular organization to the society and their commitment towards the environment. And stakeholder management in ISO 14001. The stakeholders' input helps in setting relevant objectives and targets. The stakeholders can give suggestions to implement, to set up the objectives and the targets of the organization. The stakeholders' engagement important in transparent communication builds between the organizations and the ISO that will improve the credibility of the organizations with stakeholders. The effective, transparent communication builds the trust of the organization. When maintaining the international standard 14,001 or 9,001 quality management or other international standards. The monitoring and measurement in ISO 14,001. Organizations are required to establish and maintain the procedures of monitoring key environmental aspects. What are the key environmental aspects? Conserving the natural resources, conserving the biodiversity, minimizing the pollution of air, water, soil, maintaining the ecosystem balance, and sustainable development goals. These are the key environmental aspects. So organizations should require to establish the procedures, and regular data collection and analysis help in tracking progress. Every manufacturing unit, for example, a chemical industry, they manufacture a particular material, and they produce some pollution. They release into the environment by the air and water. The data should collect the review of the data needed in implementing monitoring of the ISO. The regular data should submit to the state and central pollution control boards. While monitoring the ISO 14,001, the data is important. What are the standards they are maintaining? Whether they are minimizing the pollution and how they are improving their performance in environment management. The data is useful in decision making, to improve their quality, to improve their management in production, and in improvement of environment. Supply chain management. Supplier engagement helps in environmental objectives and requirements. The collaboration with suppliers can lead to shared environmental benefits and improve the sustainability. Demonstrate compliance with statutory and regulatory requirements with the suppliers, and increase the leadership involvement and engagement of the employees in EMS. And awareness programs should conduct all about standards and EMS and improve their company reputation that can give a confidence to the stakeholders through the strategic communication and active strategic business goals, incorporating environmental issues into business management. It can give the commitment of the environment management in business management process and provide competitive and financial advantage through the improved efficiencies and reduced costs. The governments are giving the subsidies to the organizations, industries, depending on their efficiency in maintaining the standards in environmental management system and improvements in overall environmental performance and compliance. The regulations given by the state and central pollution control boards, they should comply with the standards that may be pollution standards and provide a framework for using pollution prevention practices and EHS and EMS objectives also. The positive image on environmental issues will attract the customers and business partners. The commitment of the environmental management will help in attract the customers with their commitment in environmental management, improve their business partners, and encourage better environmental performance by integrating suppliers into business systems. We required to encourage the suppliers into environmental performance and improve the efficient use of environmental management resources by implementing ISO 14001. It is a chain system. ISO 14001 and emergency preparedness. Every organization must establish procedures to identify the potential hazards and emergency situations and how we respond to particular emergency situations when disasters occurred in organizations. The emergency drills and training helps in ensuring the environmental incidents. It will help in controlling the environmental incidents. The ISO promotes a proactive approach, a positive approach to risk management and emergency response. ISO 14001 help in emergency preparedness. The communications in ISO 14001. Effective communication is essential for the successful implementation of the ISO. That is interrelated between the environmental management policy, environment plan, the plan implementation, and monitoring corrective actions taken by the management review, the regular reviews of the ISO will help in the improvement of environmental performance and the credibility in business process and attract the business partners. These are all including ISO 14001. The internal communication ensures all employees aware of environmental responsibilities should have the awareness related to standards and environmental management, especially. And external communication helps in building trust with customers, regulators, and stakeholders, and the community. Internal communication helps in awareness of environment. External communication helps in building trust with different communities. Integration of technology in ISO 14001. The technology is used for better data management analysis in organizations, and environmental management software can streamline compliance reporting and performance tracking. The analysis using with different tools, different softwares can improve the performance tracking. That can easy to identify the risks and hazards, and also to know the status of the performance standards. Remote monitoring and IoT devices, Internet of Things devices, can help in real-time environmental monitoring. The demonstrate compliance with statutory and regulatory requirements and increase leadership involvement and engagement of employees. The top management shall demonstrate leadership and commitment with the environmental management system by taking accountability of the effectiveness of the environment, ensuring the environmental management policy and objectives that are established and that are capable with the strategic direction in context with the organization, and ensuring the integration of the environmental management requirements into the organization's business process, ensuring that the needs of the resources for the environmental management and communicating the importance of the effectiveness of the environment, and confirming the environmental management plans requirements and ensuring environmental management system achieving in intended outcomes, directing, supporting persons to contribute to the effectiveness of the environmental management. Stakeholders, employees, community, public, everything, everyone can interact, and promoting continual improvement of the ISO 14001 help in environmental management. And provide framework for using pollution prevention practices to meet EMS objectives. In EMS objectives, environmental policy is the top priority while establishing the ISO. The top management shall establish, implement, and maintain an environmental policy. The policy that within the defined scope of its environmental management system, appropriate to the purpose and context of the organizations, that include the nature of the organization, the scaling of the organization, that may be large scale industry or small scale industry organization, and their environmental impacts and their activities and products and also services that are depend on the scale of the organization, and provide framework setting for the environmental objectives. This ISO fulfill the compliance obligations. This commitment to improve the continual improvement of the environment management, enhance the environmental standards, enhance the environmental performance within the organization, that is the commitment of the organization, and the environmental management policy shall be maintained as documented information and communicated with the organizations. The data should be maintained, and interested parties and interested organizations collaboration with the organization that needs to maintain the data. When committing to the ISO, the top management shall ensure the responsibilities and authorities relevant to the roles assigned by the management within the organization. The communication is needed. Relevant roles assigned by the top management of the organization. The management of the organization assign the responsibility and authority for ensuring the environmental management that require the international standard, and reporting is needed with environmental performance to the top management. The review should conduct with the management of the organization that improve the efficiency, that improve the environmental management resources, that improve the conservation and sustainability practices towards the environment. ISO and corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility is the key component of a company's strategy. The ISO made easy with environmental responsibility by the certification. If the particular certification ISO 14001 having an organization should enhance their performance in environmental sustainability, the demonstrating a commitment to environmental sustainability enhance the company's reputation. These activities improve their reputation by the environmental management. The CSR initiatives with ISO 14001 can have a positive impact on brand perception and stakeholders relationships and business partners, and especially community. Next, future trends in ISO 14001. Increasing focus on transparency and accountability in sustainability in the reporting process, because regular monitoring and review of the ISO improving the sustainability within the organization that helps in the maintaining the environmental management. Emphasis on climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies. This ISO helps in reducing the pollution levels that impact the climate change mitigation process. Different strategies, adaptation strategies, will suggest by the stakeholders in the review process when audit with internal auditors or external auditors. The strategies helps in adaptation of the environmental management strategies that improve the climate change mitigation process. The integration of circular economy principles into environmental management. The economy also impact with the environmental management by conserving the natural resources. The ISO reduce the usage of the natural resources by giving effective strategies ISO is a valuable tool for organizations looking to improve their environmental performance. By adopting 14001 ISO, organizations can demonstrate their commitment towards the sustainability and environmental responsibility. The Sustainable Development Goals by adopting Sustainable Development Goals and with EMS strategies, will improve their commitment in sustainability and environmental management. This ISO leads to benefits, cost saving, and regulatory compliance, and improve their brand name, improve their standards and quality, that improve their performance overall. This is all about environmental management system, ISO 14001 and 2015. It is revised in 2015 recently in 2021. Now I am going to discuss another important topic, that is solid waste management. Already we discussed hazardous waste management, types and strategies in management of hazardous waste. And hazardous waste management rules and the disposable methods of the hazardous waste management, types of hazardous waste. All these are discussed in earlier classes. Now we are going to discuss about the solid waste management. It is the most important topic in maintaining the environmental balance. First, what is waste? The waste, also known as rubbish, trash, refuse, garbage, any unwanted or useless material in the environment, in the outside, is called waste that may not used anywhere. Any material we rejected as it is worthless, unwanted, we are throwing carelessly outside, that is called waste. The waste is several types. That may be solid waste, liquid waste, gaseous waste, and animal waste, biodegradable waste, and non-biodegradable waste. Depending on their biodegradability. and chemical waste, commercial and business waste, depending on the production, depending on the scale of the production, commercial waste, biomedical waste, different hospitals and research institutions, and bulky waste. These are all different types of waste. Now, first we are going to discuss solid waste. It is non-liquid and non-soluble material in municipal and industrial waste that contain complex and sometimes hazardous substances. The solid waste may be hazardous. The solid waste include garbage, demolition products, construction material, sewage treatment residues, and dead animal parts, and manure and discarded materials. These are all include solid waste. And the source of waste. The source may be agricultural, fisheries, households, and commercial and industry purpose. These are the sources producing the waste. Broadly, three types of waste: household waste, that is the municipal waste, and industrial waste as hazardous waste, because industries produce the harmful hazardous waste that will impact the environment. The hazard risks to the human beings and animals, living beings especially. Biodegradable waste and hospital waste as infectious waste. The biomedical waste, infectious waste that contain pathogenic bacteria and fungi that will affect the community. The first one is the municipal solid waste. The municipal solid waste consisting of different household waste, for example, kitchen waste and construction demoling waste, sanitation residue, waste from streets. In municipal authorities, in urban area, collecting waste from streets that are biodegradable and non-biodegradable. The degradable material is leaves and trees, non-biodegradable plastics, plastic bags, etc. The rising urbanization, change in lifestyle and food habits, and amount of municipal solid waste has been increasing the rapidly composition of the municipal solid waste. The increasing urbanization leads to increasing the population in urban areas. That impacting the solid waste management. The characterization of municipal solid waste. Highest paper and paperboard, 38.1%. The least is wood as biodegradable waste, 5.2. Other miscellaneous waste, 9.9%. And food waste, 10.4%. Depending on their characteristics, divided into different types. And plastics, overall 9.4%. And hazardous waste is another type of waste. Industrial and hospital waste is considered as hazardous waste that contain toxic substances. The direct exposure of the toxic substances can lead to the injuries, deaths. The hazardous waste could be highly toxic to humans as well as animals and plants. The hazardous waste may be corrosive and highly inflammable and explosive, depending on their characteristics. The characteristics can impact the toxicity on the humans and animals and plants. The industrial sectors majorly generating hazardous waste, different metals. For example, paper industry, pesticide manufacturing industry, dyes and rubber goods industries are releasing or generating metals into the environment that are the hazardous waste. Hazardous waste examples, mercury and cyanide. The cyanide can leads to the fatal death. And hospital waste or biomedical waste. Any waste which is generated during the diagnosis and treatment and immunization process of human being or animals. Research institutes, their activities pertaining production and testing of biological activities, that is called biomedical waste. The biomedical waste includes waste, sharp waste, pathological laboratory waste, and pharmaceutical waste, drugs, xenotoxic waste, and chemical waste. Radioactive waste. The laboratories generators of the radioactive waste in hospitals And effects of this solid waste is impacting the health, if the solid waste, the hazardous solid waste are not collecting properly, that can create unsanitary conditions, that leads to health issues, epidemic outbreaks, many diseases, cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, and gastrointestinal diseases spread with this solid waste and cause loss of human lives sometimes. In addition, proper solid waste, a health hazard for the workers who come in direct contact with the waste. For example, hospital staff, they are the direct contact with the waste while managing the hazardous biomedical waste. And environmental impact. If the generated solid waste are not treated properly or decomposed, that may take some time, that impact the environment. And organic solid waste during decomposition may generate obnoxious, intolerable odor. The landfills release intolerable odors to the surroundings. Waste management concept. The 3R concept in waste management is very efficient. The 3R concept is reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce the waste at source level and reuse the products if it is feasible to reuse in other purpose. For example, plastic bottles that we can use in gardening, and recycle the produced waste. Recycling is the least process. In 3R, first one is the reduce the disposable goods, paper plates, paper bowl, and plastic spoon, and roll of paper towels, and durable goods. That disposable, that waste we can reduce at source level, that can decompose, because these are the degradable materials. The plastic spoons are non-biodegradable, that may take some times to degrade. 1,000 years to degrade the plastic in the environment. Recovery of 1 ton paper can save 17 trees. According to the EMS, 1 ton paper can save 17 trees in the lifespan. And the reuse. Instead of buying new containers from market, use the ones that are in house. Carry your own bags already we used in the earlier. That can minimize the risk of the environment by reusing process. And soft drinks and bottle cover them with homemade paper or paint on them and use them as pencil stands. We can make as pencil stands, homemade paper, we can reuse and recycle. Use shopping bags made of cloth or jute bags with jute, which can be used several times. And waste management hierarchy. In waste management hierarchy, disposal is the least priority. There are a number of concepts about waste management which vary in their usage between the countries and regions. The waste hierarchy refers to 3R: reuse, reduce, recycle, which classify the waste management strategy according to the terms of the waste minimization. The aim of the waste management strategy extract the maximum practical benefits to the environment from the products to generate the minimum amount of waste. The reduction of the waste in this process, 3R. The most favored option, prevention at source level. Least waste management option is disposal. Prevention is the least cost effective and disposal is the highest cost effective in management of the solid waste. This is the hierarchy: prevention to disposal. Prevention, minimization, reuse, recycling, and energy transfer, energy recovery. The 3Rs we discussed, the energy recovery. The energy recovery is the conversion of the waste material into usable form. The biodegradable material we convert by decomposing, by the composting process, or by vermicomposting process. We can produce manure that can apply in the agricultural fields so that we can minimize the waste. And energy recovery. Petroleum products, We are producing plastics from petroleum byproducts and polluter pays principle. The principle where the polluting party pays for the impact caused to the environment. The penalties imposing to the generators, waste generators, because they are not following the appropriate disposal methods in management of waste. And solid waste management, there are these are the steps: storage, collection, transport, handling, and recycling, disposable, and monitoring of waste material. These are including waste management, storage, public bins, galvanized steel dust bins. We need to arrange to collect the materials. House to hold house collection is the effective management in solid waste management, and collection from the bins. Usage of public bins can minimize the land pollution. An improper management of waste bins, and if we don't use the bins, the litter or waste material that can leads to the land pollution. The waste can reach the water bodies. If that is harmful chemical or plastic waste, that can impact the aquatic animals. Sometimes aquatic animals death, depending on their toxicity. And waste handling and transport. Waste handling and separation involves that activities associated with waste management until the waste is stored containers for collection. And handling also emphasizes the movement of loaded containers to the point of the collection. The collection is the important in waste management. The transfer from smaller collection vehicle to larger transport equipment to the transportation station. And recycling, the materials from which the items are made can processed into new products. From waste materials, plastics, we are manufacturing again as plastic chairs and furniture, plastic furniture. We are using this recycling material in the road construction and household construction. The materials of recycling may be collected separately from general waste because using dedicated bins for the waste collection of recyclable waste. There are different methods of disposal: dumping, controlled tipping or sanitary landfill. The sanitary landfill may be scientific. The scientific landfilling can minimize the potential impacts of environment that minimize the contamination of the groundwater by seepage of the landfill leachate and incineration by burning up the waste, the conversion of the waste into energy. Composting, it is the best method when we using the biodegradable materials in the composting process. Improve the composting manure, improve the soil health profile by sustaining soil microorganisms and manure feed pits. It is also effective management in waste management, especially biodegradable waste. Burial, it is the least process in the waste management disposal.